You voted and the results are in. The top 10 must-add players for this week in fantasy baseball is coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello sports fans and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I've got your top 10 hottest players to pick up for week 21 in fantasy baseball. Now I want to thank all of you for casting 407 total votes, which was the driving force behind this week's list. Before I reveal the list, if you're a fan of this content, please smash that like button. And if you're new here and appreciate quality fantasy baseball insight, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so that way you don't miss an episode. Also, keep an eye out for the polls on who you should be picking up ahead of week 22. Do you have a burning fantasy baseball question? Ask me on Q. Go to askmeonq.com/beattheodds, submit your question, and for a small fee, I will personalize a response and send it to your email. It's super easy to do, and it's a great way to get fantasy baseball advice while also supporting this channel. Now, starting off at number 10, we have Dylan Cruz, 29% owned, set to be called up from AAA, where he had 60 runs scored, 13 homers, 68 runs batted in, 25 stolen bases, and a .270 average. The Nationals' next big call-up is going to happen on Monday as they promote Dylan Cruz to the big club. Now, what should we expect from the 22-year-old center fielder? He'll likely occupy a regular position in the field alongside Jacob Young and James Wood, and he's going to bring multiple hit tools when he steps into the batter's box. It wouldn't be too surprising to see him hit like James Wood out of the gates this year. Let's go to number 9. We have Josh Lau, 56% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 3 runs scored, 5 runs batted in, 6 stolen bases, and a .209 average. After his 20 home run, 32 stolen base year from last year, many thought that Josh Lau was set to enter into a new tier of outfielders. Unfortunately, injuries and ineffectiveness have tampered that realization this season. He's still aggressive on the base pass, but he's yet to hit with real authority this year, striking out more than 30% of the time. The talent is obviously there, so Lau might still be worth a look. Moving on to number 8, we have Jock Peterson, 57% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 8 runs scored, a homer, 6 runs batted in, a stolen base, and a .286 average. The Diamondbacks are on some kind of run, and they're looking to secure their spot into the postseason. It's safe to say that their lineup has been doing the heavy lifting. The crazy thing is that they're still missing Christian Walker, and now most recently Ketel Marte from that lineup. But that's just opened the door for Jock Peterson to assert his dominance. If he's getting regular at-bats, he needs to be in every lineup. Moving on to number 7, we have Adrian Del Castillo, 21% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 6 runs scored, 2 homers, 11 runs batted in, a stolen base, and a .286 average. What Del Castillo is doing is no fluke. At the end of play on Saturday, his electric start to the season with an OPS of 1,011 matched exactly what he had done in AAA. He can hit for power, and he has been a much-needed fill-in for the injured Gabriel Moreno. There hasn't been much word as to when Moreno might rejoin the team, so the runway is clear for Del Castillo to keep up this torrid pace. Let's go to number 6. We have Spencer Arrighetti, 46% owned, a win, 11 strikeouts, a 3.09 ERA, and a 1.11 whip over the last 2 weeks. So it seems as though Arrighetti may have found his way in the bigs. He has delivered 4 quality starts in his last 5 outings, and 2 of those starts were against the Orioles and the Dodgers. The Astros are putting a charge into their season to solidify a postseason berth, so Arrighetti should get as many innings as he can handle down the stretch. Let's go to number 5. We got Bowden Francis, 54% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 3 wins, 27 strikeouts, a .82 ERA, and a .36 whip. Francis has the Angels' number. After one-hitting them in his last outing against them on August 12th, he carried a no-hitter into the 9th inning against them this past Saturday. Now, he's got Boston on top next week, which should prove to be a tougher opponent, but the way that he's pitching, it might actually not matter. It may be a good idea to take a hard look at your starting pitchers and see about getting Francis in that mix somewhere. Let's go to number 4. We got Heliot Ramos, 60% owned, 6 runs scored, 2 homers, 6 runs batted in, and a .234 average over the last 2 weeks. Shockingly, some Ramos owners got tired of rostering him once he started to cool down, and that's your call to check the waiver wire to see if you're lucky enough to find him. His hot streak was no joke, and I predict that he's going to close out the season being very productive for both the Giants and Ramos' fantasy managers. He hits third in that lineup for a reason. Don't forget. Moving on to number 3, we got Michael Kopech, 59% owned, a win, 2 saves, 7 strikeouts, a 1.50 ERA, and a .67 whip. Now, Kopech might not be the outright closer for the NL West leading Dodgers, but he's certainly been finding himself in many important save situations for the team since joining them at the trade deadline. If your league tracks holds, picking up Kopech is an absolute no-brainer. But even if it doesn't, grabbing any reliever that's in the mix to close for a team that wins a lot of games makes a lot of sense as well. Let's go to number 2. We got Gavin Lux, 59% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 9 runs scored, 4 homers, 6 runs batted in, and a .271 average. The former first-round pick of the Dodgers back in 2016, Gavin Lux has had to battle injuries throughout his 5 seasons in the league, and he has finally earned a spot as a regular on this Dodgers team. They have rewarded his recent play by slotting him in the middle of their lineup recently. Now, I've got a feeling that the Dodgers are just playing the hot hand, and Lux needs to continue to prove that he belongs at that spot to close out the year. And finally, at number 1, we have Yu Darvish, 59% owned. He's currently injured, but the good news is that Yu Darvish has just been reactivated to the team. Of course, the bad news is that he's still not ready to join it because of his groin injury. It does seem that he should be able to rejoin the rotation within the next couple of weeks, as he threw 54 pitches, in a simulated game earlier today. Now, if you've got a spot to stash a player in a head-to-head league, I highly encourage you to grab Darvish, even if it's just for a few starts to end the year. And that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on this video and, of course, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I am going to sign off for now, but I will catch you guys on the next episode.